College football playoff. Oh, college
College
football
football
playoff.
playoffs. We wanted to have a special section on this because it's different than Pick'em, and we have a lot of emotional reactions to it. We can't talk too long about it, because most of us have, children or other things calling us at the time. But let's talk about the top, let's say maybe
What are well,
12,
what are your
14.
key takeaways? Maybe yeah, top
Key,
12, 14.
key takeaways is it wasn't key takeaways. I actually appreciated the majority of how they selected, with exception of like the top five. I feel like they were doing a good job of layering and actually trying to use the metrics and figuring out. It was a lot, at least more explained than the AP has ever been.
That's yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and um, and I think from my perspective, it's like if you have to use eye test for the top four, then it tells me a lot about some of the anyway. My key takeaway is I'm appreciative of the fact that Big Ten had a presence, and was at least honored. Another big takeaway is ACC, poor ACC.
Poor ACC.
Poor ACC. Man, they do not like them. And then SEC is just really kind of like it almost benefits the SEC not to be at the top because they're getting such a huge portion
Oh yeah.
of the playoff. And so
Yeah.
it's a secret strategy that I think they've been kind of like maybe really kind of arm wrestling over.
That's why you schedule Samford in the second half. Right there.
Go Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your key takeaways?
Uh, I agree with yours. The two things, well, first off, I was like shocked BYU and Texas Tech were
Wow.
actually so high.
Yeah.
And I was shocked that Utah's up there. Like everyone loves,
Yes.
I don't get the
I,
and I'm okay with it from a Big 12 perspective. I'm okay with it, but it's a little confusing, but okay, that's fine. They did lose to BYU and te Texas Tech, so good losses. The other thing is Ohio State at the top makes no sense to me
None. Well, and
because,
yeah, go ahead.
well, you put Indiana, Texas A&M at the top. I can't argue with that because
Yeah.
Indiana, I feel like, has actually been tested. If you're giving me eye test with Ohio State, you don't need an eye test. You can look at the schedule and realize, oh, their schedule's not as good. Someone today did a blind schedule test. I sent this on
Yeah.
Slack between, I didn't know it, but it's Ohio State and BYU. And it's like, oh, they're the same. And it's like, wait, so why is BYU seven and
Yeah.
Ohio State's one? It comes to the eye test, which is a bunch of crap. Like you can't just keep doing eye test and it does a disservice to earning it. Indiana has earned it. Texas A&M has earned it. BYU has
So here's
earned
why
it.
they here's why they said this though. So they said they don't want to discourage people from having high ranking preseason games early in the season, or oh no, that was Texas, sorry. So but they were trying to be like okay, maybe I've got my theories wrong on that, but keep going, sorry.
Um, Notre Dame at 10, I think is ridiculous
Yeah.
because outside of their two good losses,
Yeah.
they're playing a group of five schedule. They
Yeah.
don't have anything else on there. There's no meat on the bone as far as their schedule goes. So
That's very
they should
gracious.
be 15.
I feel like
Well,
Texas and and Utah are very gracious. Because what I will say, I agree with you about Utah. I was
Texas too.
watching them kind of do the layering. And when they got to 18 and Utah wasn't there, I was like, oh man, they really hate
They didn't
Utah.
even make it.
And
Yeah,
then I was like, what? I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked. Aren't they 13 or something like that?
they're 13.
And I was
Yeah.
like, what? I mean, to be honest, that blew my mind. I'm the same as you. Um, but yeah, I think what's a little unnerving about this is like, okay, so the ACC playoff winner, who's let's say it's Virginia, they're not even the top 12, 14,
Yeah.
or, whatever. So it's going to be a little awkward. And then we've got our Memphis or whoever the group of five is
Yeah.
up here too. So really, it's not the top
You got to
12.
be top 10.
It's the top 10. And you've got
Yeah.
to like, and that's going to be an interesting dynamic of, so even Utah, they're like, we really don't see them making it unless a lot of crazy things happen to BYU and Texas Tech,
Right.
which it could, but
Yep.
I was impressed that BYU and I was impressed that Oregon dropped and their reason for it, because they were saying, it's almost like they're like, we're not going to move Ohio State, but we will move Oregon.
Uh-huh.
And because they're saying they can't reward them for not having any good wins. And I
Yeah,
agree with that. And so they did not use that lot. I was actually so impressed how they were layering all this until they got to the top three.
yeah.
Very similar to you, and being like, what would really garner a lot of my respect is if at least Ohio State was number two, if not number three.
Two or three. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Like
that
that would have shown me you're
I
actually
can trust you.
doing your metrics. You're actually looking at it because Indiana should be number one. I think they're giving still too much weight to that Texas win.
Yeah, I agree.
They're still looking at Texas as preseason number one,
Maybe
where
that's why they
Texas
put them
now
so
is
high. Yeah.
is up and down, where it's like what, and you can't give Ohio State credit for Illinois win anymore. Like that's I've been saying that since the beginning of the year. Like
Well, and
so,
let's say Texas Tech loses to or Texas loses to Texas A&M. Are they going to still reward them for that? Like they
right,
probably
the good
will,
win,
but at
yeah.
this point, then how many losses are they going to have? Four? I mean, you can't. I
I
don't.
would almost argue, as much as it pains me, you could make a case that one loss Alabama should be above Ohio State
You could,
because they've beaten Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee,
which is pretty impressive.
and Ohio State has beaten then number one Texas, and that's it. That's their only ranked team right now that they've beaten,
Well,
and
yeah.
that team is all over the place. Oh, they're back, baby, Sam Houston. We beat them, and then this last week they're back again. It's like, didn't you say that a couple
Well,
weeks ago?
and sorry, I just have to comment about the Penn State game for a second because I remember texting you during the half being like, look at the score. They were playing poorly against
Yeah,
Penn State. They came in the second half and they at least put some points on the board, but it was 14-17 at the half against Penn
yeah,
State. And to me, for the first time ever, I was like, finally, they'll probably drop because it's, of course not. They're like, no, but they pulled it off. I was like, but that wasn't a good win. I'm
yeah.
sorry, but that was not a good win. It was
And
a win, but like, let's take Indiana for a second, like the 63 to whatever it was win. I mean, are we going to honor that over a Penn State win, which was like
right,
they let them score 14 points? What does that say about Ohio State's defense? And so,
Indiana went. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
good.
Indiana went to Oregon and won. Ohio
Yes,
State was at home.
yes,
So if
yes.
you're look and same thing with Texas. If Texas is the thing you're going on, you were at home
You were at home.
again.
First game of the
And
season. Mhm.
so Indiana has one good win. Uh, Ohio State has one good win, and I think Indiana's one good win is better than Ohio State's
Well, and to your
by
same
far.
point, Alabama has like what, four good wins?
Four good wins. Yeah. Like I
Right.
didn't realize that. Like I was kind of annoyed with it,
Yeah.
Alabama being up there, and then I looked at their schedule. I'm like, all right,
Okay.
like
I mean, even Texas A&M, I was like, I don't know how many good wins they can claim. They have wins, but the thing is, none of those people, even if they were ranked at the time, they're not ranked anymore.
right.
So you can't claim them as good wins at this point anymore. I think they could after this
Yeah,
week, but it also goes back to like in 2 weeks, will Missouri even still be on the board? Then is that a
right.
good win anymore?
Yeah,
I
is
don't
that a
know.
good win anymore?
Yeah.
And honestly, it is. Missouri's a solid team, but it comes down to you almost want to look at who's in the top 25 that you beat at
Yeah.
that moment,
Okay.
So now that win for BYU and Texas Tech over Utah looks great,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, thanks. And now whoever wins between BYU and Texas Tech gets another good win,
Okay.
there.
Here's the question. If BYU beats Texas Tech, let's even say it's by 1 point, what happens to BYU?
They're gonna blow it. Uh, they they have after this, they have TCU, Cincinnati, UCF. I said this last week about Cincinnati about their schedule, and they got blown out by
They
Utah.
did. They
But
did.
it's at Cincinnati, and but I think, hey, if you're healthy, you win that game.
Yeah.
TCU's at home, and we don't know TCU's kind of who's going to show up. And UCF, you should beat UCF. Like
Yeah. So at least we should have one.
should
Yeah.
yeah. So if BYU loses or beats Texas Tech, it's manageable to go undefeated. But being a lifelong BYU fan, they're gonna blow it. Like look at last year. It was great, and then they blew it. But even if they lose one, hopefully it's more of a hey, we didn't suffer like we lost close,
Especially if it's a good
we
win.
didn't lose injuries,
Yeah.
like have injuries, and we can win. Like the next game's at home, then the road and then home. BYU's the only team, well, not only. when I was looking at schedules, they haven't had back-to-back home games since the first two games. They've had back-to-back road games
Hmm.
twice. And
Hmm.
I'm like, what happened there? You know, like let's get some more back-to-back home games and
And
stuff. But
also, by the way, the next TC then so this is the fifth out of the six games that we get as BYU home fans. That one's at 8:15 p.m. They have all
I
been night
know
games, which I haven't decided if it's a good thing or not. Because if you are a person who likes to drink and all that stuff, then typically that's the type of atmosphere that actually ends up benefiting you. I do think BYU at home at night is hard.
it's
Um,
hard. Yeah.
but and so maybe for that factor, that would play into the TCU game to some extent. But give us a day game for heaven's sakes in the end of November for the
Ex
South Central Florida game. I'm gonna freeze. I don't want to keep freezing.
Except for 10 a.m. at Texas. When they gave the time for this one, I'm like, oh no, we don't do good with first thing in the morning games for
I do
us.
think it prevents us from having a night game at Texas Tech, which
Yeah.
could have work against us. So
The other thing I will say, I saw some ratings for each of BYU's games, and it showed the night versus day games, and all the day games had great, like good, solid ratings. The night ones were okay, but it's the East Coast thing. It's like put your best teams on during the day, like especially at this point, they haven't
like
announced the
5 p.m.
times.
even. Yeah,
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 they
yeah.
haven't announced the times yet, so realize, hey, these are our four best teams. We want to get them on during the day because
Yeah.
when you're one of two last games with Hawaii, people are
Nobody's
like,
gonna watch.
it's fine.
Well,
Bye.
the AP
We'll go to
voters
sleep.
or whoever's voting is going to be like, we'll have to watch that later. And it's always easier to watch it in the moment while it's live.
Yeah.
All right. We spent a lot on
All
here's
right.
what I think. If BYU beats Texas Tech, I think they're moving up to the top five.
Oh, oh, if they do, I it would be outrageous if they didn't. And like if BYU's undefeated, beat Texas Tech, Utah, they should be, I would argue, right behind Alabama or before them because they still are technically undefeated
Yes.
and wouldn't have a bad loss. And Alabama has a bad loss.
Hmm.
Um, but before they got to jump two at least.
At
Now,
least.
if they lose big,
Then they're probably,
teens, high teens, 20s, like they're going to drop them. Although they beat Utah. So, but if they
they
lose
can't drop them
big,
lower than beat Utah,
they
you know.
shouldn't because Utah lost big to Texas
Yeah.
Tech.
Hmm.
But if they lose close, you hope it is just kind of that switch. Like, okay, you
So
played
basically,
well,
we're eight now, you're seven, essentially.
yeah, or at least top 10. You better not move them below Notre Dame because hey, good loss. We now have a good loss. Yay. You know.
Well, what's going to be interesting about these let's see, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss. I think several of those guys have games that could knock them out. Um, so
True.
so what's going to be interesting about this is how shifty it's going to get. And then what it does. And so that's why I'm like, I actually think the 11, 12, 13, 14 is very important because of what
Yes.
happens to the cascading effect of these different teams. So, Utah being in 13th place, wow, yikes. That, I mean, what a huge like benefit to them. I was so surprised
Yeah.
when that happened. It goes back to like we got a lot of love as the Big 12 there. Wow. Um, More than I thought because normally they're like, well, if you get one in, then that's great for you. But like yeah,
Uh,
even Miami is way down there. I mean,
yeah.
are they on? They're not. Oh yeah, they're 18. It's for all the two lost teams. I mean, didn't they lose to Louisville? Like so, and who was the other person they lost to? I can't really remember, but anyway.
I
Um,
forget.
but
But
I think
you're right. Texas has Georgia and Texas A&M on their schedule,
but they beat Notre Dame, and that's
and
where it goes back to like show those guys more respect. I don't know. I feel
oh,
like
Texas. No, I'm saying Texas Longhorns have Georgia and Texas A&M. So
that's what I'm saying.
that that could drop them. Oklahoma has Alabama. They're not beating Alabama, and Missouri and LSU. So
Mm,
Oklahoma and Texas, I'd be shocked if they don't lose at least one more time,
yeah.
if
To-
not two.
mhm.
So that kind of would, hey, if BYU loses and you drop to that 13,
Then that's still
14,
manageable to maybe make it.
then you can, hey, you win your three more games and maybe you work back into it,
Yeah.
basically.
But yeah, I was ultimately disappointed. What was interesting in watching the show is how vocal the announcers were about Ohio State, except for maybe one. But like, what did they do? I was like, thank you for at least expressing the
Oh, they said
frustration.
it that way. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What did they do?
Like, what did they do? And they're like, well, and the other guy was like, well, Texas, and he's like, yeah, I mean, but like
Texas.
it was, can I don't know, can you? And like, I feel like a version of that is Texas had a good last week. What a great week to have a good last week, man.
Yeah.
Because you got on the like you passed the eye test right before the college football rankings. And if you had
Yeah.
a bad loss last week, you're not looking so great. So again, Utah benefited on having a good win.
Over
And then
Cincinnati. Yep.
yeah,
That was
BYU,
good.
Texas had a good win. And so like
BYU won the bye week a
yeah,
lot because a lot of people lost, so they won
yeah,
the bye week. So
yeah,
that was good.
yeah. So I think I actually think this will be really interesting. What's going to be hard about this is there's certain people that are bound to go, um, like literally, like I don't see Ohio State not being undefeated this year, but their
They're
schedule
not playing
hasn't
anyone.
allowed it. I
Right.
think Indiana doesn't have anybody else, if I remember looking. So they should be
I
undefeated.
forget.
And
Let
then
me look
Texas
real quick.
A&M has Texas, and then this week they have Missouri. It's not Georgia and Alabama, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they should be able to manage that. So if we had three or four undefeated teams that remained at the end of this year, I think all three should be in the one, two, three, four, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah. Oh yeah. Seed them by undefeated. And to your point, Indiana plays Penn State, Wisconsin, Purdue. For unless Penn State shows up somehow. And Ohio State has Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan. Michigan
Michigan
rivalry
could be,
game. And
yeah.
Michigan's played upset before to
And they
them,
beat
but
them last year.
they did. But
Is it
like
at Ohio State or is that at
it's at
Michigan?
Michigan.
Okay.
But Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, Indiana, Penn State, Wisconsin, Purdue. I'm like, the disparity in talent in the Big Ten is
It's
insane.
yeah.
Like how many in the SEC and Big 12? We just went through it on our other video. That's not, oh, they're not good, but they're not an easy out. Iowa State lost four in a row, but don't count them out. Wisconsin, count them out. Purdue, count them out. Like you can count out about half the Big Ten,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is nuts.
They don't have that big of a middle section. I think it's like USC, Michigan, Iowa, and that's it. I
Yeah,
can't think of another one. But and
yeah.
oh, maybe Nebraska that's
I,
hanging down there at the bottom of
I
that
think they're
list,
upper, lower,
upper, lower. Yeah,
like low, mid Nebraska until
yeah,
they kind of prove
yeah.
otherwise.
And
Then
so, but the rest of them, I was like, man, they have so many cushy teams. They have so many former Vanderbilts. Let's put that
they
in.
have four teams that are haven't won in conference play. Four.
I mean,
And we're
that's
five, they're 5, 6 games into the conference play.
that's essentially paying to have a C like one of those like what is CFP or teams or what is it? No,
Yeah.
FBS teams.
Big
What is
12 has one team without a win in conference, Oklahoma State. And now I'm curious with these. Let me go look at SEC.
it? SEC.
SEC has one team that hasn't won, Arkansas. And go to ACC is not going to be
That's probably gonna
great
be North
because
Carolina. Yeah,
they have one team. So all the other power conferences have one team that's complete, like
zero.
hasn't won,
Hmm.
and the Big Ten has four. That's nuts.
That's not well. That
And
that goes back to like they're so top heavy.
and guess what? Those four teams, I think Indiana and Ohio State has played each of them. So it's like, hey, there's four wins for you. Right there.
You
Granted,
don't think
one
that
is
was
Penn
on purpose?
State,
I'm sure that was
one
on
was Penn
purpose.
State, so like that wasn't foreseeable, but
That
it's
wasn't
like
meant to be. Yeah, yeah.
right. But still, you got four, and you're playing all four of your bottom dwelling teams.
And I think we have again, it goes back to like I really do want so when they had the commissioner of the CFP on there they spoke to them and we're talking to him and asking him questions. They're like, why Ohio State? Why these other? He's like, basically it came down to the eye test, which you hate, I know. But he's like, in watching these teams, but I was like, but you're watching them play less accountable teams. It's the
Right?
eye test looks great because they are playing teams that
Playing
are
bad
so
teams.
far down that
Yeah,
that team is going to look good. You can't say that. I mean, when you have like a scrappy game like a Utah BYU game where it's like, okay, that's not going to look great. That's a rivalry game. I mean, and you to survive that is great. But
Yeah.
if we were to go play Sam Houston every week, we would look good too.
Yeah. If,
And
if
we would
we
pass an eye
scheduled,
test.
I
So the
know,
eye test does it's so subjective because it doesn't take into account who they're playing at the time.
right. You
So
creamed them. Good job. Yeah.
yeah,
You
zero
played
no, zero
Purdue.
four. Yeah. Yeah.
Great, great. Yeah. Oh, you creamed Stanford. Great. Good job, you guys. Like, that's the thing. It's always a pat on the head. A win. And then they're like, oh, well, a win's a win. It's like, yeah, but not when it's against a bad opponent and then you get credit for it. You shouldn't get credit. If anything, that like BYU Utah win, like that game, that's an eye test of like, look at these two guys just slugging it out.
Yeah,
Like,
because that's going to be the best football both those teams can
right.
play, you know.
Exactly.
But I do think what's frustrating to me is the last week was the first time I saw some fallibility with Ohio State, and I was expecting that the Big 12 or that the committee would have watched those games. They said
Yeah.
that they did. I don't know if I believe
I
that.
don't believe it.
But I was
Yeah.
like, I was shocked that like to me, it doesn't mean that they don't belong in the top five. I still think they
Right.
do, but
They're
they don't
undefeated. Yep.
belong above the
They
others.
don't.
They
No.
don't. And so I think they that made that because Penn State did so well against them. And when I'm saying like decent, they kept the score respectable. It wasn't a blowout like it should have been. Like
Right.
then
Well, they won 38-14, but I think it was kind of
me,
a
it's like I was expecting it to be them at least in the 40s. I mean, you look at like the Big 12, a blowout to us. I'm like, what was it? Cincinnati and whatchamacallit and Utah this last week, they got in the 40s, and that was
yeah,
a great win.
yeah.
That to me was what I was expecting from a number one team playing a team that fired its coach
It's
a couple
fired
weeks
its
ago.
coach.
At
Yeah.
least in the 40s, they didn't even get there. So to me, yeah, okay, they won by quite a bit, but at the same time, I was like, they let the other team get 14 points, and at half, it was only a 3-point game. That
Yeah,
to
half
me
it was close. Yeah.
so, I mean, I know, I mean, saying that to like, BYU is a second half team. I get it, whatever. But I'm just like, I feel like they didn't pass the eye test for me last week. It was the first time I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
They fourth quartered it. And I think that's when Penn State just is like, all right, we're done, and everybody gives up in the fourth quarter. But I was
Right.
like,
But yeah,
let's
why
take
did they?
a third quarter accounting of a team blowout. Like, where
Yeah.
were they? Because fourth quarters in a blowout don't matter. And so let's figure out where they were. But anyway, that's I'm super disappointed. I was kind of on board with all of their choices until they put Ohio State at the
I
top.
said it won. Best Big Ten win for Ohio State, Minnesota, who's 6-3, 4-2 in conference. So hey, you're 4-2 in conference. Other than that, every other Big Ten school is below that. And Minnesota's in one, two, three, six, seventh place in the Big Ten.
Wait, sorry. I don't see Minnesota on the bit
No,
top
no,
five.
no. I'm just looking at the Big Ten
Oh.
rankings.
Hmm.
My point is they haven't played anyone in the top. Michigan's going to be their best game
Hmm.
in the Big Ten.
Oh, you're talking about Ohio State. Okay.
Ohio State, but
Yeah.
they're not anyone right now who's in the top six, in the top tier in the Big Ten. Ohio State doesn't touch.
Yeah. So, I mean, like again, I think this narrative, and to be honest, this is what I think. I actually think it would have boded well for Ohio State and their fans had they been put number three, because we all could have gotten behind that and we wouldn't have a negative narrative towards them.
Right.
So now they've become the enemy.
You're right.
And I mean, everybody's going to play against them with angst because they're so I mean, especially, I mean, Indiana in that game, I'm tuning in to that playoff.
Who's not cheering for Indiana?
Oh,
Yeah, there.
everybody's cheering for, and the thing is, it might have been something where it's like, well, let's just see who wins. But now it's like, okay, fine. I don't, and CFP week by week can make adjustments, right? So maybe
Yeah,
they'll
they
see
won't.
how the national,
They won't drop anyone for a close win, especially Ohio State. Like also, Ohio State has to lose. And at this point too, if Ohio State loses, since they don't have anyone on their schedule except Michigan,
oh, they're out.
um, they better drop like a rock because it's a gonna be a bad loss. And if they get blown out by Michigan, that's a bad loss, even if it's rivalry. Like it's a bad loss. So,
That's off.
and even Indiana, I think looking at it, I know we need to go, but
Yeah.
I think you could make an argument, even though Ohio State and Indiana are undefeated, which I'm okay with them being in the top five because they're undefeated. Like there's value in that.
Yes.
You could make an argument that Alabama's above them. Just
Yes.
both of them with a one loss. You
Mhm.
could make an argument a couple schools are above them. Like
Yeah, you could.
it's like the thing I told you earlier about the blind. You look at the blind resume, and BYU's resume is very comparable to Ohio State. So if you're judging Ohio State at one, why is BYU seven?
Yeah, it doesn't. And that's where it goes back to like some, some people might look at this and be like, well, it all kind of doesn't matter. I was like, well, it does matter in the playoffs though, because home games matter in a playoff
Well,
game
and it
and
matters
seeding and
to
bye weeks and all that. Yeah.
and it matters too because as we've seen, you want to start high because you don't drop
Yeah.
fast. You
Yeah.
want to
Drop out.
so yeah, you
Yeah.
don't want to drop out and they don't bring you back up quick and it's hard to earn your way in. So
That's Texas.
yeah, except for
Although
Texas and
they
Notre
were
Dame.
favorably placed here.
Except
Yeah.
for Texas and Notre Dame,
Yeah.
then you
Oh,
get the benefit of the doubt.
yeah. Let's not even go to Notre Dame. Although it would be interesting because when they placed BYU and Notre Dame in that bracket, a home game for BYU playing Notre Dame in the playoffs,
Oh yeah,
that
especially
would be,
because
I would actually love that.
Notre Dame didn't want to return the home and home series years ago, so they played in Vegas one year. Notre Dame didn't want to come play in BYU, so that's what
Oh, I
makes it
forgot
even
about that.
sweeter is the College Football Playoff Committee forcing
Forces
them
them.
to go and play in Provo.
I mean, as a season ticket holder, I would hope I get preference priority, but I would pay quite a bit of money to see that game.
Yeah, it would
Anyway,
be epic.
epic. I wouldn't want to go to South Bend and play them, but
Yeah.
yeah, anyway. So anyway, I think we'll
All
see.
right.
But I guess I will say this, I like this way better than the eight people. Um,
Oh, eight people's a bunch of crap. Yeah.
for the first time ever, we've gotten some like explained, and I feel like they took into account multiple different factors that the AP poll never just even puts into play. It wasn't, I think the top seven wasn't hugely different, but the bottom was. I feel like the bottom 15, wow, that was a lot. There was a lot of movement there from the AP poll. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. It's eight. Yeah. Eight people is just a bunch of writers who don't pay attention. And I think you have too much. I will say that with the Culture Football Committee, it's like, okay, it's a smaller committee.
yeah,
We've talked about the whole bias that are embedded there, but like it's hopefully like, hey, come give an interview about this now, knowing you have to go defend it.
yeah.
Although
They
they
need to watch tape. They
sometimes
need to, yeah.
they
Mhm.
are just like politicians sometimes where it's just like I'm not taking questions or I'm not going to answer I'm going to answer the question I thought you
The
asked,
same
you
way
know? Yeah.
that it was written for me all those other times. Yeah. But I did take a look at who was on that list. Yes, there are some current, athletic directors or whatever, but there are a lot of former coaches on. There's even former players. So to me, what I want is people that actually know the sport well enough to know how to
Yeah,
assess it. And I wanted to see SEC, but also like all the different conferences represented as far as like if you have a former coach from one, you have to have a former coach from another.
right. You
And I
should
think there
have
was enough representation. So I felt a lot safer with at least, I mean, again, and it sounds like there was quite a bit of conversation about the top three, which I expect there to be. But we'll have to see.
that's where I think the AP poll has influence on them.
Yes.
Well, we're going to get outrage if we move Ohio State down. It's like, no, you're going to
But
get outrage with them up.
you might
But
get outraged from the AP, but you would get so much like positive
like
reaction from the
uh,
general public.
you're
Like,
watching the games. Okay,
yeah.
thank you. You're looking at schedules and actually realizing like you have one good win.
Hmm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And that win is okay.
Yeah. Well, at least it's given us a common enemy as a group. But
That's
what's
right.
hard about it is like I do have friends over there and I feel bad for them because they
What
keep
does he
the
say?
brunt of the narrative. I have to talk to Josh
You
after this.
should see what it, yeah,
So
that
yeah,
would be
maybe
interesting.
we should bring him into one of these kind of
Well, they don't play tough games to get on Pick'em, so that's the only way we'll get them on.
We love Josh. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think this will be the first of several conversations. Maybe we'll weave this into the other going
Yeah.
conversations going forward. But I'm excited. Here we go.
Yeah. Here we go.
All
All
right.
right.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.